Senator Senator Nairobi Sakaja.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wonder who was on your mind. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I rise to make a statement pursuant to Standing Order 46-2A, which states that a senator may make a statement on a county issue or on an issue of general topical concern. Following growing concerns, Mr. Speaker, from the people of Nairobi City County on the state of the county, and of course this includes honorable senators. Mr. Speaker, we've been hearing many of our senators who are citizens and residents of Nairobi. I promised last week that I would make a statement on a myriad of issues that are affecting the county of Nairobi, which is our capital city. Nairobi City County is the economic and political capital of our city, of our country. It is home to more than 10% of the entire population of Kenya, and close to 5 million Kenyans call this home. More than 50% of our country's GDP is generated in Nairobi, which means, Mr. Speaker, that if Nairobi does not work, then Kenya does not work. Nairobi must work. And Nairobi is also the economic and diplomatic hub of East Africa. It is the face of the region and the face of Kenya. There's been a great concern on its state by residents on a number of issues, namely the state of political and administrative structures, the state of infrastructure, roads, drainage, street lighting, provision of essential services like water, the state of the environment, garbage collection, insecurity and lawlessness. It is in everyone's knowledge, Mr. Speaker, that the long rains and the flooding that has come with it have exposed a very soft underbelly that our county sits on. Just like many parts of our country, we need to fix it. Our rallying motto during the campaigns, Mr. Speaker, because we must remain accountable to the millions who voted for us, was to fix Nairobi, and it is my belief that we still should and can do it. Our drainage systems and road infrastructure are a mess and need fixing as a matter of urgency. We have witnessed destruction of property and impassable roads when it rains and floods. It breaks my heart, Mr. Speaker, every morning as I go to work, in such instances when I see school-going children and women struggling to cross roads on mkokoteni, on people's backs, as they try just to get to their places of work, where our children get stuck going back home and end up getting home even at midnight. Mr. Speaker, we've had to evacuate entire schools. For instance, Embakasi Girls, where students have been marooned because of the damage. The drainage, water, and sewerage systems in this county cannot hold. There is urgent need, Mr. Speaker, to reclaim riparian reserves that have been grabbed in Nairobi, as well as to overhaul the water and sewerage infrastructure in this city. And I'll be calling upon the committee that deals with infrastructure to really help us come up with a solution where we can support our county government in doing this. The state of our infrastructure is wanting. Perpetual traffic jams and bad roads hamper the productivity of our people. It is totally unacceptable that majority of Nairobi residents who contribute to more than 50% of the country's GDP continue to waste up to 6 hours of their productive time daily on traffic jams. We have seen certain proposals from the national government, but none is yet sustainable. Mr. Speaker, painting red lines on highways will have the same effect as Kidero's drums on roundabouts. We urgently need a mass transit system in the city that will incorporate both light rail as well as bus rapid transit system that will ensure a clean, efficient, and reliable transport system for the people of Nairobi. And Mr. Speaker, some of these interventions are interventions that we're going to do together with the national government and the county government and through this house in championing them. We have also witnessed insecurity at the heart of the capital in a manner that we've not seen before. That hard-working Nairobi residents would get mugged in broad daylight several months ago was as disturbing an issue as any. We've watched it and gotten shocked at the sheer audacity of goons attacking innocent residents in broad daylight. Mr. Speaker, only recently, the chairman of Nairobi Business District Association was attacked as he went to give a press statement, but I'm glad that law enforcement has taken action. But really, there must be a partnership with the national government and the security forces in making sure that Nairobi remains a city where the rule of law supersedes the rule of man and where impunity does not reign. Mr. Speaker, lack of water on our taps has become the norm. Yet we have been receiving torrential rains over the past few weeks. And not just in Nairobi, even at Ndakaine, which supplies water to Nairobi. A liter of water in Nairobi, Mr. Speaker, is almost becoming as expensive as a liter of petrol. And to make it worse, those people who stay in the slums, our residents and citizens and our electorate in this city, end up paying more than 50 times for water than I think honorable senators are paying in their houses, wherever they're staying. Nairobi residents have suffered enough under the heavy hand of water cartels and poor management of this valuable resource. We will also be engaging with our committee and also with the county committees and Nairobi Water and Sewerage Company to find out what exactly is the solution to this problem. Living and doing business in such conditions has become unbearable for many residents, and even as we continue to endure, we should not accept it as a norm. I want to put it to this House that it is indeed possible to fix this mess, because evidently, and after a long time, based on even our governor's assertion, we can see that revenue collection in Nairobi is going up, and this is the money that needs to be used to sort out these problems. I've seen even Senator Nyamunga bringing issues to this House on South Sea, and another senator, Senator Kwamboka, bringing issues about different residential areas. Mr. Speaker, Nairobi needs a Marshall Plan, and Nairobi needs to be helped by this senator, and I'll be looking forward to support from other senators, because if 60% of our GDP is coming from this county, let us not treat it just like any other county. Mr. Speaker, the national government, in partnership with the county government, have come together under the Nairobi Regeneration Project to address a lot of these issues. This is a welcome move that we need to support. However, Mr. Speaker, this must be done in conjunction with all elected leaders of the county, from the MCAs, the 85 MCAs and the nominated MCAs, the 17 MPs from all the political parties, and of course yours truly, the senator and the governor. The Senate needs to create a proper framework for the realization of Article 189(2), which states that government at each level and different governments at the county level shall cooperate in the performance of functions and exercise of powers, and for that purpose may set up joint committees and joint authorities. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to report to the House that just this morning I have held a meeting with the Nairobi Regeneration team at the Ministry of Infrastructure, together with small traders and vendors, to give the traders an opportunity to eke out an honest living, and we will soon be starting 2 car-free days in a week in certain streets and parts in Nairobi to give them an opportunity. Mr. Speaker, private sector in Nairobi is not just those in suits and ties. Even our hawkers need respect, and they need to be given a place where they can operate without, Mr. Speaker, interfering with the rest of the business in the city. We'll also be engaging on all other areas outlined in the Nairobi Regeneration Plan, which aims to return our beautiful city to its lost glory. It is imperative that the Senate play a bigger role when it comes to intergovernmental arrangements between national and county governments, to make sure that even as our counties, and especially the county of Nairobi, is being assisted, that devolution is not compromised. I urge the Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations to spearhead this process, to give life to those Articles 189 and I think 188 or 186 in the Constitution. We have also had assertions that the county government of Nairobi has increased its revenue collection from 7 million shillings a day to more than 60 million shillings a day. This is commendable, and I must congratulate the governor of Nairobi, Mike Sonko. This is attributable to the digitization of revenue collection, which must go on. Nairobi has more than 100 revenue streams, and all of them should be digitized. In as much as the increase in revenue is commendable, Mr. Speaker, what Nairobians are concerned about, however, is services being delivered to them, since revenue collection has gone up. Nairobians care less about how much you're collecting if they're not receiving services. The collection they're concerned about is collection of garbage, not just of revenue. But Mr. Speaker, for us to play oversight role, we as a Senate are also concerned about the revenue collection. Through the Committee of Finance and Budget, Mr. Speaker, I will be writing to the Auditor General to audit the revenue collection of Nairobi City County for the last 9 months, and to also audit Jambo Pay Limited, that has been collecting revenue on behalf.
Senator, you have about 2 minutes, so you need to summarize.
I'm winding up, Mr. Speaker. As a senator elected by close to 1 million residents, who I always thank, I made it my daily commitment to ensure the county government delivers on its promises, and will aspire to form bridges and build a synergy with all the stakeholders in order to ensure the best interests of this great county of Nairobi are safeguarded and advanced. Nairobi is too important to all of us to be inundated by daily sideshows. Nairobi must be taken seriously. It It is not the time for political chatter. The county government must succeed, and it must be held to succeed. The success of the county government and Governor Sonko and his government is a success of all Nairobians, and it's a success of our country, Kenya. The county government has also taken quite some time to settle. As I finish, Mr. Speaker, our county still lacks a substantive deputy governor or chief officers, despite the fact that we've already created the legal framework through which a deputy governor is to be appointed. We are asking the governor of Nairobi to take the matter of appointing a deputy with the seriousness it deserves. And any Kenyan can be his deputy. I know we have seen the nomination of one Miguna. He can be. He is a Kenyan, and I'm glad he's coming back to this country. But I know it will not happen. And that's why we're asking the governor to be serious and to fast track the appointment of chief officers. Nairobi still does not have chief officers. My office will continue playing its oversight role, even as we strengthen and equip the MCAs of Nairobi and make sure the county government is accountable to the electorate who voted for its leadership overwhelmingly. I look upon the support of my fellow senators. Thank you.
Senator Kilonzo Mutula Jr.
Mr. Speaker, first I want to thank Senator Sakaja Johnson for his statement about the status of Nairobi. It is actually, I don't think you can say Nairobi has a status as we speak. It has no status because of the mess we have. Two, I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that the mess in Nairobi is not the mess of Senator Sakaja. We as Senate, under Article 96, must take charge and make sure that this city is running like any other county. We have that obligation, and that obligation is not of Senator Sakaja alone. We work in unison, we work as a collegiate, and therefore the Committee of Devolution, Committee of Finance must intervene. On the question of a special audit under Article 229, Senator Sakaja, the Committee of Finance, if you notify us, we can request for a special audit. There's nothing more that is required. But Mr. Speaker, lastly, second last to say this. Under the Urban Areas and Cities Act, Section 6, Part 6, 5, subject to Section 2, the two levels of government shall enter into an agreement regarding the performance of functions and delivery of services by the capital city. I want to underline the words shall enter. I witnessed the statement made by His Excellency the President about the hiring of youths in Nairobi about garbage collection. I want to say this, Senator Sakaja, the law requires that the seat of national government, where there is office of diplomatic missions, that there shall be an agreement. We want to see the agreement between President Uhuru Kenyatta and Mike Mbuvi Sonko about the management of services in Nairobi. That is the law. And it says shall is not optional. So that when we start apportioning blame, we will apportion blame as it is. If Nairobi is contributing 60% of GDP, national government must be seen to acting and not pointing blame. Those who I believe are sabotaging Governor Sonko must remember we will deal with them, because that is our work, to deal with Nairobi, because it is a capital city. Lastly, the issue of nomination of Miguna is extremely controversial, because we do not know under the basis he was nominated, we don't know whether he accepted, we don't know whether he was notified, and how that letter is going to be delivered. The Speaker of the Assembly now says that Miguna must be vetted, whether he's a Kenyan or not. The charade in Nairobi must stop. We cannot continue like this. This is something that we must intervene as a matter of urgency, Mr. Speaker, because I would hate for Nairobi to go the Makueni way. If you're not careful, we are either going to have a by-election in Nairobi, or alternatively, we're going to have such a mess that the mandarins and the people who think that Nairobi should no longer be a county will have fuel to say, let us return the functions of Nairobi to central government. That will never happen for as long as we are here. Thank you.
What's your point of information, Senator Sakaja?
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I want to just inform my good friend, Senator Mutula. And as I've said, the reason we're saying that this issue of appointment of a deputy must be taken seriously, and I'm sure some have misconstrued it to say that I do not support Miguna being appointed. Anyone can be appointed, but the manner in which it has been done, even Miguna himself has written to say that it is a malicious distraction. This is not a county for sideshows, Mr. Speaker. This is the most serious part of this region, East and Central Africa. So I want to inform Senator Mutula that as much as that has been sent, and I even posted on my Facebook and Twitter, saying that it will not happen, it's because Miguna himself had not been consulted, and he has said it's a malicious distraction. Nairobi deserves better than malicious distractions.
Senator.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me a chance to add my voice on the statement that has been raised by the Super Senator of Nairobi County, our host, on the status of Nairobi. Honorable Speaker, it's a very, very sad situation because Nairobi not only hosts the National Assembly of Kenya, Parliament, but also is a host to very many big international and national institutions. And in any budget that has passed through this house, we have always seen Nairobi getting the biggest share of the revenue allocation.